FPL Game Week 9 team selection. We have an early deadline to look forward to tomorrow, 6 PM UK time on the Friday. So in today's video, we're going through how my team did in Game Week 8, some FAQs answers for Game Week 9, a differential captain, potential one, and my team selection for Game Week 9. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button and hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. What's up? It's FPL Vert, where arrows go green, and as you can see, they went green. Yeah. That's now 4 green arrows in a row as we continue our ascent up the rankings. But it could have gone very differently, because although I got 3 points above my safety score, which is the score required to get a green arrow, I brought in Nick Pope, Enzo Fernandez, and Bukayo Saka in place of David Raya, Iliman Ndiaye, and Bruno Fernandes. And of course, all 3 of the players that I sold outscored the new replacements, which is always good to get the instant gratification for the moves that you make. I'm joking, but of course we don't make moves for 1 week, we make them for multiple weeks. And since then, Bukayo Saka's gone up and Bruno Fernandes has actually dropped, so that's a 0.2 swing right there. And I think there might be other players that might be rising as well, and you never know when you're going to need the squad value, as I always see. So quite squad value focused most of the time, but I do think genuinely that Bukayo Saka is the better pick. I mean, he got bonus without even getting an attacking return, and he became, he looked very promising. He put in the man of the match display. I do think that attacking returns are just around the corner with him, especially with Burnley and Sunderland in the next 3 weeks, game weeks as well. So definitely happy with that. Along with David Raya, of course, Pope, he scored 2 points, but he conceded 2 and got the save point, whereas Arsenal are not even conceding shots on target at the moment. So I do think David Raya is not worth it in terms from the value perspective. I do think double Arsenal is worth it though. So are we looking at maybe Timber? Whoever gets, I think because with Timber he has less of competition. Obviously Ben White is not the same level as Calafiori and Lewis Skelly competing for the same spot, as we saw in the midweek as well. So that's one thing to look into. But yeah, very happy with Tad Pope, and he actually made an assist in midweek as well. So you never know where the points may come. So yeah, we'll discuss the FAQs before my captaincy decision as well. So just a few post-Champions League updates, because we haven't got the Premier League press conference information at the time of recording, but I'm sure a hot question will be whether Enzo Fernandez is fit, because he missed out in Game Week 8, but he did start. He actually captained the side against Ajax in the Champions League midweek, and he also dispatched a penalty, he took the first penalty, which makes me think he's at least top 3 penalty takers if Palmer's not on the pitch, and if Pedro's not on the pitch either, which he wasn't either. He was suspended. And he handed the second one to Esteval to provide the young Brazilian an opportunity to get his first goal in the competition, which I thought was a great gesture, actually. And then Mark Yu started and scored as well and lasted the first half, so maybe he's in line for league start. That's one to monitor as a 4.3 million forward option. I put Nico Gonzalez here mainly as for Manchester City rather than the FPL option, because Rodri is already out and Kovacic is returning from injury. And he was subbed at 57 minutes, but Pep did later say it was a knock, and hopefully he'll be fine. Main updates here though are with Liverpool, as they finally put an end to the rot as they won 5-1 at Frankfurt last night, but Isak had to go off because he had a groin injury or groin problem, according to Arne Slot, and it remains to be seen the timescale on that, but I'm not too sure it'll bother them too much, as the Ekitike is the forward that's actually scoring for them at the moment. And then there's also an issue with Jeremy Frimpong, as he's also now going to be out for a few weeks as well. So if you're looking for a Liverpool defender, Bradley is definitely an option. Not too sure how long Frimpong will be out for, but we can go into captaincy discussion, because I am feeling a differential captain at the moment, mainly down to Aston Villa's form. Not just the fact that GYÖKERES scored 2 goals, which is of course a big factor, but Aston Villa have actually won 5 games in a row now, ahead of their fixture later tonight, and they're unbeaten for 3 seasons at Villa Park against Manchester City. In fact, the last two results are 2-1 to Aston Villa and 1-0 to Aston Villa, so they've won the last 2 meetings at Villa Park, and then the previous season it was a draw. And considering that Arsenal have scored at least 2 goals in each of the past 4 meetings with Crystal Palace, who actually play later today in the Conference League and do not have the depth that an Aston Villa do, for example, and considering the fact that all 5 of GYÖKERES' goals this season have come at the Emirates Stadium, I think I'm a little bit tempted to go a little bit differential. Whether I actually end up there at the deadline is a different matter. So into my game week 9 team selection, and Nick Pope welcomes Fulham, fresh off an assist in the Champions League, to go with a clean sheet as well. And the Magpies have actually kept a league best 5 clean sheets in the league this season, which is level with Arsenal, and they'll hope to continue that trend against a Fulham side this weekend that have only scored 2 goals across their past 3 away league games. Marcus Senesi hosts Nottingham Forest in what will be new manager Sean Dyche's first league game in charge following Ange Postecoglou's dismissal. The East Midlands side host Porto later today in the Europa League, so we can get a first glance of how they set up later today. But as for this clash, Forest have actually scored in 5 of the last 6 matches in the Premier League. So let's hope that continues along with DEFCON, because Dyche teams aren't famed for scoring, really, are they? Gabriel Magalhaes is currently in the best centre-back in the world conversations, in my opinion at least, because he followed up his assist and a clean sheet in the Premier League last week with a goal, assist and a clean sheet against European heavyweights Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. This will be a tricky game, however, as Crystal Palace have currently the highest XG in the league, and they're unbeaten in 13 of their last 14 in the league. Trevor Chalobah has had his minutes managed midweek, coming on for the second half against Ajax, and Sunderland arrive on decent form in the league, but they've actually failed to score in 3 of their past 4 away trips this term. In fact, the only away game they've scored this season in the league was away to now sacked Angers Forest. Antoine Semenyo may have been a captain option this week, had Ange been in charge. He's now had 11 rises in just 8 game weeks, as he's now 8.1 million from a starting price of 7 million. And that's following 10 attacking returns in that period. Depending on how Forest do tonight, we may revisit this, but I don't think you really want to be captaining someone against a Dyche team that's not a Burnley anyway. So yeah, let's see what happens later today. Bukayo Saka put in a man of the match display this last weekend against Fulham. He was awarded with 2 bonus points despite no attacking returns, and he became the first player in the last 6 seasons to record at least 5 key passes, 5 successful dribbles and 5 fouls won in a single Premier League match. So let's hope that translates into attacking returns, as he hosts a Palace side that actually rank 6th worst for XG conceded over the past 6 game weeks, most recently conceding 3 at home last weekend to Bournemouth. Enzo Fernandez started midweek in his return from injury and was taken off at half-time, with Chelsea in control of the score at 4-1 at half-time. Only Cody Gakpo and Brian Mbeumo have a higher non-penalty goal involvements this season across midfielders, and he's seemingly a penalty taker, although Joao Pedro was not on the pitch, but he's definitely a big option to own, especially with the fixtures that Chelsea have coming up as well. Tijani Reinders is for sure on borrowed time in my team, with 6 blanks in the last 7 game weeks. The Dutch international was benched midweek against in the Champions League, so that could indicate a start this weekend. And why it's been frustrating, only Erling Haaland actually has more big chance involvements in the league this season among teammates at Manchester City, with 1 each across the 2 league fixtures. He had a great chance saved away at Brentford, and then he created a big chance on the last weekend. So, you know, it would be an interesting midfield battle this weekend. We did see John Stones stepping in alongside Nico Gonzalez during the week. So if they do that again, considering that if Nico Gonzalez is past fit, it could allow Reinders to press further forward and do what he did in Game Week 1 when he saw us all a dream. Victor Gyökeres currently dons the armband, as previously discussed. All 5 of his goals for Arsenal this season have arrived at Emirates Stadium, and Palace have been increasingly leaky over the past few game weeks. And so considering the Eagles play tonight, which is 2 days after the Gunners romped to a big victory in the Champions League, so that's 2 less days of rest days for Crystal Palace, and I don't think that their depth is the best, I'm very tempted to hand captaincy to Gyökeres, especially as City's record at Villa is not the best, with losing the last 2 trips to Villa Park and drawing the other one. But it is definitely most likely to be Joao Pedro's last game in my team this week, no matter what he produces. He's actually yet to score in open play this season in the league or in any competition. He hasn't scored in any competition since August, and he last provided an attacking return in Game Week 4, which was a very fortunate assist, if we're being totally honest with ourselves. But he hosted Sunderland, so I'll keep him. And then, of course, we go to Erling Haaland, who just continues to score every time he enters the football pitch, which is probably asking for trouble going against him, in all honesty, because it's now 12 consecutive matches in a row that he's found the net, totaling 22 goals, 21 of which were non-penalty goals, along with 3 assists. And considering Aston Villa have actually only kept 2 clean sheets this season, with only 6 teams in the league keeping fewer, it's probably asking for too much trouble. So I will likely revert to type and stick Vice on GYÖKERES come the deadline, but it's it's fun to have these discussions at least. So that's the team for this week. I am rolling my transfer because I think Randers is going to be an issue quite soon, and like I said, Joao Pedro is his last week in my team, I'm pretty sure. So most likely Joao Pedro comes in. Joao Pedro goes out and Mateta comes in next week. So that's the team. Drop any comments you have into the comments. Drop any questions you have into the comments, and you can DM me on the platforms such as Instagram, Twitter, and Blue Sky. And yeah, good luck everyone. May your arrows be green.